Hello everyone, my name is Harsh and I am pursuing BTech in Data Science and AI at IIT Roorkee. Currently I am in 1Y. So today I am going to talk about a code or function in C++ to check whether a function is of power 2 or. So let's start with intro. A power of 2 is any number that can be expressed as 2 raised to an integer exponent. Examples: we can express 8 as 2 to the power 3 and 1 as 2 to the power 0. This is used frequently in computing and memory allocations. For example, 1 GB is 2 to the power 30 bytes. So let's discuss what's the problem here. So we have to Our goal is to write a code or function that checks if we enter a number, it checks it is a power of 2 or not. And if it is a power of 2, then it tells what is the power. For example, we here take input equal to 8. So here it gives output true, which means it is a power of 2 and returns power equal to 3. And when we input 6, it gives output false, signifying that it is not a power of 2. So what is our approach? So our approach is to create a Boolean function to check a number is divisible by 2 or not. So first when we enter a number, first it checks if it is divisible by 2. We will use while loop and replace the number n by 2 and repeat the earlier step to check it is divisible or not. These steps will continue until either if it reduces to 1, if it reduces to 1, then it will be a power of 2, and if it is not reduces to 1, then it will not be a power of 2. So now let's talk about the pseudocode for the function. A pseudocode is an informal description of a program's logic and structure. It uses natural language and a few programming conventions to outline the steps without getting into the syntax of the code. It basically shows our understanding toward the code, that how we interpret the code. So here we have defined here we have defined a function named isPower of 2 containing two variables and int power. Here n is declared as an integer and power is initialized. Notice that we here use reference variable. Reference variables allow power to modify inside the function and reflected in main functions. It whenever we now So later when we use variable power inside main function, it fetches this value directly using the address of it. So that's the use of here reference variable. Now we have declared n as integer and initialized power as 0. So first condition we apply that if n is less than false, it will returns false to the function and output will be given. Again moving towards while n will be divisible by 2, we will replace n by 2 and increase the power which is initialized early as 0 by 1, and we will repeat this process until either finally n reduces to 1, and if n reduces to 1 we will return true to the function and the power that is increased, else we will return false. So let's take an example. Here we have first taken 8 as example. So at first step 8 is divisible by 2. So we will now replace n by 2, that is 8 by 2 equal to 4, and power will be increased by 1. Moving on next step, here n equal to 4, which is also divisible by 2. So again replace n equal to 4 by 2, that is 2, and power will also be increased by 1. Again 2 is also divisible by 2, so n replaced by n by 2 and becomes 1, and power also increases to 1 and becomes 3. Notice that now n is reduces to 1, so it will return true to the function and power, that is 3. Second example, when we take n equal to 6, at first step it is divisible by 2, so n will be replaced by n by 2 and becomes 3, and power increases by 1. On next step, we will notice that it is not divisible by 3, so it will return false to the function. And in this way, our code will be. So in last slide, we discussed the pseudocode, and now we will discuss how the code works. So first we will declare a number n and initialize its power to 0. And if first we check the condition, if the number is less than 1, it will return false to the function. And for n greater than 1, we will divide the number by 2. While it is divisible, we will replace n by n by 2 and increase the power by 1 and again apply the same steps. This process will continue until finally if it become reduces to 1. If it reduces to 1, it will return true to the function, or else it will return false to the function. So here it is for the function. We have used boolean function which either returns true or false to the function output. Named is power of 2 and declared integer and power. As discussed earlier, reference variables allow power to be modified inside the function and reflected in the main function directly. So when we use power again in the main function, it takes out the value of power using its address. So we have initialized power equal to 0, apply the first condition using if loop, and less than 1 returns false, and then we apply while loop that if n is divisible by 2, replace n equal to n by 2 and increase power by 1 until n reduces to 1. If n reduces to 1, it returns true indicating it is a power of 2. Otherwise, it will return false to the function. So here is the full code for the function. Here it is the main function for main body of the code int and we are counting enter the integer and taking the input from the user, and then now we are applying conditions. If is power of 2 here, it means if it is true, then it will see out that n is a power of 2 and power is power which is you which will be get through the address of power, or else it is false, it will see out that n is not a power of 2, and that's the code. Here is example execution of the code. First, when we enter the integer equal to 8, it shows 8 is a power of 2 and returns that power is 3. And when we enter the integer 6, it shows output 6 is not a power of 2. I hope you have understood the code. I tried my best. Thank you. Have a nice day.